Are you tired of living in Detroit? Well, after this video, you'll become mayor of your own beautiful town. We're so close to 25K, so I'd appreciate it if you subscribe. Let's begin. Planning. So before we even begin such a monumental project, I think it's important to start planning ahead of time, especially if you guys want to go for a specific theme. Now, the first thing I would do is definitely apply a theme to your town or village. There are many themes such as medieval, Asian, Western, or even a theme according to a biome. And you can even combine themes. So for example, I could go for a medieval theme in the swamp, or I could go for an Asian theme in the cherry grove. Now, as you can see here, I have started up a little town. I went with a very medieval theme, a little bit of farm here on this side as well. So medieval farm. And of course, I built it in the tried and true plains biome here. And an important tip is to try to keep everything not so cookie cutter. So for example, here is like the main house of this town. You can see it's not super cookie cutter. It might even use the same block palette as some of the small houses there. But these two houses would be an example of, somewhat cookie cutter. But at the same time, I still went with completely different shapes for these houses. No two buildings in this entire area are actually the same shape or the same build at all. Now next, let's talk about spacing. Because my theme is medieval and rural, I went with very wide open spacing here. So of course, it looks very empty right now, guys, as you can see. But just wait until I show you the final result. So when it comes to spacing, we can categorize it in three ways. Rural, which is what I have here. Everything's far apart, very wide, open space, open fields. You can go for more of a city look, where everything is a lot more compact and tight, such as these two houses right here. Or you can go for like a town look, which is kind of in between, I would say, and maybe would have spacing similar to these two houses right here. But with this, we're going with the rural theme where everything is wide open and spread apart. Next up, I want to talk about the terrain. So what you shouldn't do is completely flatten off the land. That will give your town no depth. You want to try and build into the natural terrain. Now, of course, not all the terrain will be perfect. For example, if you wanted to build a house right here in the cliffside, maybe you can do some light terraforming. But if you do any terraforming at all, just make sure that you smooth out the rough edges. So for example, like let's say you want to build like right along here, you might want to smooth this out by like adding dirt here, and of course slowly smoothing it out just like so. I only smoothed off certain areas such as this little hill here. Everything is built at a different elevation, from the barn to the house to the windmill. Adding elevation will create tons of depth to your town or village, whatever it may be. So something cool you can do with the theme and the spacing is combine different ideas together. So for example, maybe over here where the houses are built a lot more closer together, it can feel more like a town. But then if we go all the way over here with the windmill being out in the distance, it can feel a lot more farm-like and rural. You can have some areas that are heavily forested. You can have some areas that are a lot more flat farmland. It's totally up to you. And doing this will almost create a story to your build. So a good example is how the blacksmith down here is right next to our mine. And as you can see over here, we have the barn and the windmill kind of further away from the rest of the builds, which would signify how they're out on the countryside or the outskirts of the town, which would make sense in real life. And then over here, we have the largest house, which kind of serves as a connecting point between our barn and our windmill to make it seem like they're not too detached from the rest of the town. Outdoor builds. So once you have all of your buildings in place, you're going to want to add in the outdoor builds. So I'm going to quickly run down a bunch of different outdoor builds that we can create, which can be both aesthetic, functional, or both. So starting here, you can simply create a small stream or a creek that runs through your town. You can definitely use this for fishing or just have it be purely aesthetic. It can also be a place to house your fish. And you can also do this in a pond style like so. This is just a little tiny pond right here. You can make this as big or as small as you would like. Next up, we have a gazebo. Now, I think these are great centerpieces to a town. You can even have them in a large backyard, maybe to like a larger house as well. And this is something that we can also make functional. It can serve a purpose by having a crafting table and some other functional blocks, as you can see, like a stone cutter and a cartography table. You can also create a well, such as this one right here, which can be aesthetic and functional. You can grab water from the center and it can be an infinite water source for you. So now if there are any bodies of water or any cliffs that need to be trekked across, you can build a bridge. Now this is a very simple design here, just like an arc bridge going over a little water stream. Next up, we have a greenhouse. Now this one is purely aesthetic and it's very cozy. We have a little flower display outside, and going around you can see there are plenty of leaves and a bunch of greenery going all the way through the build. Then coming inside, simply just have more plants. Now next we have a fountain, also great for centerpieces of your village or your town. You can decorate them like so. All right, market stalls. We have this one right here, which is kind of like a booth style. You can throw your villagers in there, throw some honey blocks down there, and you can even display the items that they're selling on the back wall like this. This guy is our toolsmith. Place these scattered either across your town, or you can have a whole market square if you would like. And here's another design, accessible from every single side. I think this one also came out very well. We have a little fisherman in here, plenty of detail. And yeah, that's it for the market stalls. All right, auto farms. So if you take Minecraft seriously at all, like me, you want to make automatic farms. Now, this is an automatic pumpkin farm, and in fact, it's harvested a bunch of pumpkins already. And I actually made it kind of look like a pumpkin. So the way you go about automatic farms, you build all the redstone components first to make sure that everything works. So in this case, I placed down our pumpkins, put some mud blocks there, hoppers and everything. And then I built this frame around my redstone. And you can even access the rear if you want to see how the redstone works or if you need to change anything. Now, there are many different farms that you guys can make. Just look up how to make the basic farms on YouTube, like iron farm, pumpkin farm, sugarcane farm, even super smelters. And then you can create a build around it, and it'll give you a unique design every single time. I highly recommend doing this, guys, rather than just copying guides and whatnot online. Next up, we have statues. So as you can see, I made a little robot statue completely off the top of my head. Tell me if it looks good. I mean, I really like how the base of the platform came out, but maybe if you're going for a more grand city style or a larger city, statues are a great way to add some life to your town. Next up, we have beacons. So many times I see people make beacons and then neglect the decorating process. So here you can see we went with like a desert pyramid theme for this beacon, and I think it came out great here. All right, next up we have the campsite. These are nice to have in areas that are in the outskirts of your town or even areas that are almost leaving your town. I think these are awesome. You can have a bunch of job blocks around. You could potentially even have villagers that live here. Of course, I went with like a darker style with this dark gray wool. And I even tied up some llamas here as well. Storage piles, and I made it look like a spruce biome as well, like you're camping in the woods. And last up, we have the cemetery. So here, went with kind of like a really spooky dark theme, of course. We have a bunch of graves. You can even open these and find bone blocks or chests. Now these are purely aesthetic. Not really sure. Maybe you can have like a mob XP farm or something here. Maybe even if you're building like a church, you can add one of these kind of behind or around the church. Very aesthetic, and it's a nice way to add theme to your builds as well. Paths. Now that you've created all of your outdoor builds, it's time to start pathing everything together. So I'm going to break down how to create paths step by step. So step number 1, you want to determine your start and your end point. So here you can see I've marked in red where our beginning and our end point will be, from there to there. Now step number 2, we're going to connect these while creating curves. So as you can see, we have the same start and end point, and you can see here that I have now created a curvature in our path going from left to right, back to left, and right again. It's important to have curves in your path, especially if you want to create depth, because if the path is simply straight, you just look right down the middle and it doesn't create for much depth or visual interest. Step 3, you're going to thicken your path. When it comes to thickening your path, I would do a minimum of 2 blocks. I think 3 would be ideal. You can even go up to like 5 or 7, depending on how grand your builds are. So here I went with 3. You just take this formula here and you would pretty much thicken it one left and one right, or top or bottom, depending on how you look at it. Just like so. This is the same exact path here. And for any rough edges, such as this one right here, you would want to, of course, flatten it out just like so. Almost terraform it. You can even bring this one in, or this one, totally up to you, just like that. Step number 4 is path into the landscape. Now, if the landscape is, of course, too harsh, you definitely want to do some light terraforming. But here, you can see I've created a bit of a landscape. We have a little hill that we have to go up. For that, I just use wooden slabs going up here. And as you can see, this part of the hill is a lot more steep, so I use wooden stairs going down, just like so. And then, if we're met with some water, we can simply make a small bridge with some campfires and trapdoors going over, just like that. And this is, of course, the same exact path, just with the landscape provided. And the final result, once you add in all of your details, should look something like this. So here we added coarse dirt in our path. We added stone buttons that look like little rocks in the road, going all the way down. And we added some trees. We bone mealed the area up, added some bushes. We made our little pond look a lot better as well with some lily pads and seagrass. And that alone created a night and day difference, as you can see from there to here. Now you should figure out how to light the area. So here I have 2 different styles. We have a bunch of fences or wall blocks going along our path. And then on top of these, we can plot down our lighting block of choice. Here I went with lanterns, of course. And then over here on the left side, we went with our lamp style lighting right here. So here we didn't go with any of our fences at all. I just wanted to showcase how the lamps would work. You pretty much space them out. I like to go one on the right and left and alternate as we go along. So here we have one on the right, of course, and then we place the next one on the left, and then we keep going, of course, as well. And if your path is near or goes through water, such as this, you can even use sea pickles as lighting, just like so. And then we have our final lamp here. And don't be afraid to combine the 2 styles, guys. You can definitely combine these, as I will show you later in the video. Now, I want to showcase different themes and styles of paths. First up, we have a farm path. We have simply dirt path and coarse dirt going along here. This would be in more of a rural area, as you can see. We have some farms here on the side, like a pumpkin farm and a little carrot farm here. We have trees kind of spaced out accordingly. I even created some fences along the sides with some pots and lanterns and some leaves, azalea leaves going across. A bunch of vegetation, and we even have like a little hay bale pile back here. Now, let's say you don't want to go so rural. Well, you can create more of like a town path, make it feel a little bit more busy. So here I used a combination of tough cobblestone, andesite, and mossy cobblestone. And we've also used the wall variants of these instead of the fences going along our path. Now, adding in these walls and these leaves along the side really gives your path shape and form. So walking along here, you can see we have some benches here, a little campsite over here. We've of course added flowers and sweet berry bushes, a lot of taller plants, another bench here, a storage pile of course, as well as lamps. Now also what I've done is I've used stair variants of these. That adds for some cracks and such in the road. I think it can warrant a nice rundown look for your path. So now let's upscale it even more. Here we have a city style path. So to make this path look even more fancy, I added andesite stairs going along the edge, which create great depth, and I even added these copper bulbs, which look very fancy. And of course we just have the brick, granite, and polished granite for the base of the path. We've added little garden beds here. We have a bunch of flowers that are more high-end and upscale, you could say. We even have walls with banners right there and some cloth. We have little signs here that guide you and direct you. Little stalls, of course, and tables, such as this. The benches are a little bit nicer. And here's like another table out here. We have our signature lamp design here, which I think looks great with the brick. And we have some fancy potted plants as well. So here's our more upscale city looking path. Now, next up, we can mix these 3 previous themes with biome. So here we have a swamp path. Now let's say this is more rural, of course. So for this block palette, I went with mud, deep slate bricks, and cobbled deep slate. And for the buttons, I even went with black stone buttons to kind of match our dark look here. So here we have a swamp path. We use mangrove as well. I think this came out really nice. very lush, bunch of water and plants and streams and such to make it look wet and moist. I shouldn't say that. All right, next up we have the desert path. So here I went with orange tones to kind of break away and contrast against the sand. Now, personally, I think acacia trees look great in the desert, as you can see here. We even have a little wagon here, little desert ruins, a bunch of cacti. And then at the very end here, we have a little tent as well, as if it's a traveler traveling across the heat of the desert. Next up, we have a Western style path. Now, this would of course be in the Badlands or the Mesa biome. I went with the Wild West theme here. The dark oak looking great, contrasting very nice against our red sand. We have some storage piles, log piles, campsite. We have a large wagon in the back here with some more storage piles in the back. I even added a bunch of this dry grass here, which I think looks amazing with this red sand, making it look very arid and dry. All right, next we have the jungle path. Now here I definitely wanted to make you feel like you're deep in the jungle, of course. We have some little jungle ruins here and there. We went with mud, rooted dirt, and coarse dirt, of course, for the block palette, and some jungle fences on the side. We made it look very overgrown, of course, with the new bush block and the firefly bushes, and plenty of jungle trees. All right, next we have the dark forest path. So here I kind of made it look like a path that runs through the dark forest, of course, not as overgrown. We went with tough for the path flooring. And of course, we have a bunch of plants, dark oak trees, and some large mushrooms going through. Pretty simple design, but I think it looks great nonetheless. Next up, we have somewhat of a mountain or like a mining path. And here I went kind of crazy with the ores. This is a place full of riches. We have a bunch of storage piles, ore piles even. The deep slate blocks, as well as the basalt, go great together, contrasting against the stone. And as you go across, you can of course see the different piles of ores and little mine carts, mine tracks around. I think this is a great path to have in mining areas or mountains. And last but not least of the examples that I have is a snowy path. Now, most of us are afraid to build in snow biomes, but I think once you do build here, I think it can look amazing. Here we went with spruce, stripped spruce, and regular oak logs, which actually match the spruce quite well. And we went with the rooted dirt as it has more white tones to it, which kind of blends it in nicely with the snow. Made a little igloo here. We have a signature lamp design and a signpost, of course. I think this path came out great. I even used the snow layers to create depth along the terrain, of course. And we have some scattered plants around, such as ferns, bushes, and dead bushes as well, to showcase how difficult it is to survive in this landscape. And yeah, these are just some of the examples of paths that you guys can create. The themes are endless, guys. You can even combine these themes, guys. You can go with a city swamp path or a rural dark forest path. It's totally up to you guys. The possibilities are endless. I just wanted to show you guys some examples and hopefully get your creativity going. Decor. Last category, guys, I want to go over decorating along your paths. Now, this is something that you would do at the end for all the empty areas that you have going along the side of your path and such. Number one, you can simply just have a bunch of farmland. So let's say you have open fields, a windmill, maybe a bunch of farmers, or you're going for a more rural look. You can have crop fields such as this with a little path running through, of course. A great way to fill in space. You can make them as large or as small as you would like. You can do the same thing with animal pens. So here I went with a simple box-shaped pen right here with pigs. Or you could even do more of a unique style of a pen like this one with the alternating logs. You can even use stone. Great to have near the farm areas as well, or in a more rural side of your town/village. Now, you can simply fill in dead space with trees. So you can either plant the regular saplings like I did here, or you can create custom trees like this. Created a little palm tree actually with the jungle wood and jungle leaves, just like so. And then I used the spruce stairs and slabs as they were the closest in color to the jungle logs. And I actually think it came out pretty good. I don't really make custom trees, but I think this one came out pretty awesome. Trees and forests are a great way to fill in the empty areas along your path. So don't be afraid, guys, to add in a few trees here or there. Just don't overdo it, of course. And I actually like when you mix the different tree types together. As you can see, it creates a lot of colors and even like a gradient full of green, like so, going from the oak leaves to the birch leaves to the spruce leaves. All right, next up are gardens. Now, gardens are a great way to make your area look a little bit more fancy. You can make garden beds as small as this one right here, medium size like this. You can go with similar colored plants. Here I went with all yellow ones, as you can see. You can even add trees in the larger beds like this, surrounded by a bunch of other plants. I think this came out pretty awesome. And you can create these giant garden beds like this. This one is surrounded by some stone, some trap doors, and buttons for decoration. That piece of bamboo is way too tall. Probably make it about that tall. But you can add a bunch of different plants. Great way to add color and some luxury to your area. All right, next we have work areas. So definitely if you're playing in survival, or if you have villagers around, I love to add these little work areas around. If you're out and about and you need to craft something or use an anvil or a stone cutter, and of course they look aesthetic and they serve a purpose. So here's a great example of one. We have a bunch of different job blocks that are all useful. You can have some storage with some barrels. It could even be something as simple as a little table like this. Now here I kind of have the same style as the one previously, but just made it out of the cherry wood and cherry leaves, just to show you how different they can look in different wood types. And last but not least, you can even have a little covered work area overhang like this, some storage, stone cutter, crafting, of course, anvil, whatever you guys need. Next up, we have map boards and signposts. So let's say you have a task board or something of the sort. Also, guys, make sure to subscribe. You can post this around your town, maybe in the town center, especially if you're playing with some friends that I know you guys all have. You can create these task boards around your town so that everyone knows what the next thing to do is. Now, here are 3 quick examples of simple task boards. You can, of course, make these a lot larger, but these are the 3 that I kind of went with right here. And you can also create map boards of your town, just like so. Of course, many ideas that you can do. Here's one out of dark oak. I think this looks pretty cool. These are great to have around the town, preferably near the center of your town that everyone can meet at and see. All right, we have wagons and carts. So over here on the right, I have a wheelbarrow design. I think this one's pretty iconic. I even tried to do one with like a hopper. I think it came out pretty nice as well. These are great to have in farm areas. Here is a tiny little cart design that I came up with really quick. This is the one that I used in the desert style path. I think it's very nice for how small it is. Of course, we have the tried and true storage cart design like this. Pretty simple. And you can even create these little carts that serve as almost like a market. You can have a villager in there. You can trade with them. A gypsy cart or like a gypsy wagon. I don't really know what they're called, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So these can also serve a purpose as well if you want to trade with some villagers. Next up, we have storage piles. So these are great ways, guys, to fill in some empty areas. And these can also serve a purpose as well. You guys can even utilize some of these job blocks. Of course, here are some examples with just some barrels, chests. I love the look of the extinguished campfires, stone cutters. You can add some potted plants on them. Just junk piles. They can be purely aesthetic if you really want them to be, like these hay bales. Totally up to you. I made this one kind of like armor themed. We have a bunch of functional blocks here. And this last one right here with some job blocks. And last but not least, we have benches and seating. So you guys can go with a super simple design if you really want to. A slab and a sign behind. You can go with a slab and a trap door with 2 signs on the side. As a single chair. Extinguished campfire, which I think this is the best look, in my opinion. With a sign behind or a trap door, like so. You can even utilize a stair with signs. You can make it as wide as you would like. This one is 3 wide. Here we have our campfires with the signs, our slabs. You can even use different wood types, like this pale oak wood right here, bamboo wood, and even acacia, which doesn't look half bad. And if you want to get really advanced into it, you guys can combine wood types. For example, I think jungle and dark oak look pretty good together, just like this. You guys can combine even three wood types. We have the oak look of the campfires, the pale oak, and the jungle signs. Mangrove mixed with campfires, and you guys can even combine shapes like this. I simply have trap doors on the left and right, and a mangrove sign in the center to create a unique shape to this bench. I think it came out pretty nice. These are great to have around. They add a nice cozy feel to your build. So, given everything that we have learned, guys, I have this world here. We have a large house right here. We have a barn right there. We have a blacksmith right here with a little mine entrance. We have two little houses in this kind of corner. This is a library right here. And then back here we have a windmill. So coming along, I have a bunch of signs here posted, which are going to be all of our builds and details. So of course, we're going to have a bunch of farmland around our windmill here. Here, we're going to have our sugarcane farm automatic, of course, right next to our library. I think that makes the most sense. Coming over this way, we're going to have a little campsite here, since this is sort of the edge of the town. And that will lead, of course, to a bridge, which would go across, of course, to the wilderness over there. And anytime you guys will see a little crafting table, I'll make a little outdoor crafting area. Now, coming over here, we'll have a little market square, I think, right by all of these houses. I think that would be great. Coming over to this side, we'll have a map board here that'll showcase the entire town. And up here, we can build a little chicken coop. I think that'll be cool, having that right next to our barn. And then right over here, we can build a little garden, I think would look very nice and kind of in the center of this open area. And I was thinking this little piece of land that kind of drops down a bit, we can turn it into a pond. And last but not least, we have our fountain, which would go here. And I think this would mark the town center, of course. And of course, we have a crafting area that we'll make there, and a crafting area that we can make right there next to our barn. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply all of the steps that we have learned to this blank canvas. So if you guys would like to do this with me, I actually have the world download for this in the description below. You guys can download this and either do what I do or create your own version with your own builds and details and pathing. So given that, guys, let's go from this to this. Let's take a quick tour, guys. There's a lot going on here. From the main house, we have a little path here that connects to the back door. Of course, it kind of goes to nowhere, but you guys can do whatever you want with that. I just think it would be nice to have a path going down the back side. Bunch of storage piles, of course, detailing trees. There's so much going on here, guys. So let's follow from this side of the house now. We have a path going down to our pond. I think the pond came out pretty awesome. This is more of the rural side of town, of course. So we went with the traditional dirt path and coarse dirt going down. We have our garden right here next to our pond. I think it came out amazing as well. And we have a bunch of seating area, benches, plants. Very lush here. We have some fish in the pond as well. And then this path will come all the way to our barn area. Now, with the barn area, we have our chicken coop. So here's the chicken coop that I came up with. I even utilized the new versions of the chickens with the warm and cold ones. Got some more chickens inside as well, chilling, of course. So there's our little chicken coop design. And of course, we still have the rural style pathing here. We kind of added a little bit of trees around the area, spaced them out to make it look nice, open, and rural. And then as for the crafting area, I went with this kind of design here. You can have a little crafting table right there with a composter and a barrel for some extra storage. Now, going down this path, we connect the rural to the more town side of things right here. We can see the path blends into the stone. For the rest of the paths here, for the town style, I went with the andesite, tough cobblestone, and mossy cobblestone. So here's our little map board. As you can see, that's where we're at. And this is actually the map before I added and everything. So maybe I should update that. So you can see we have a bunch of detailing going all the way across from our lighting to our storage piles, our walls, more storage piles there. We go down this path that connects to our little blacksmith area, and the path connects to our mine. Now, looking at this mine area, you can see I went with a lot of the taiga forest right here with some sweet berry bushes. It's almost like a different part of the town, almost like a different biome that we created on this section of the town. So before we go up this path here, let's go down this little tiny path, of course, which connects to one of our small houses right there. And we, of course, went with the more rural, thin style of path since it just connects to the house, just like that. Now, let's go up here into our market square. So here, guys, we have our market square with 5 villager stalls. We have like a plant or farmer shop right here. This guy sells some great stuff, I hope. And we have a little fish shop here. I went with our signature stall design that I came up with on the spot, of course. And we have a food shop here with a butcher. We have a armor right here. Pretty awesome with the blue. And last but not least, we have our potion shop. This guy can sell us some of that good stuff, if you know what I mean. So, and then in the center, we have a little lantern, of course, with some potted plants, a bunch of details, walls, piles of storage, of course, throughout, just like so. Now, let me show you guys everything like in between our market and our garden and our pond. Simply, guys, I filled in this empty space with just trees. That's all it is, just trees. It fills out all of the empty area and makes it feel much more alive. If these trees weren't here, everything would just be open, plain Jane. It wouldn't look complete. So adding trees is a great way to create some depth and almost like a background to your build. Think of it as like a background to a painting. Now, let's continue down this path to our town center. We have our fountain. I went with a diorite fountain. I think it looks really nice, very upscale. This is kind of our town center area here. We still have some storage piles, of course. We got some benches on every side of the fountain. Got some potted plants, lanterns, and such. And this is pretty much the town center, along with the market. I think right here would be the center of this whole area. Now, of course, this path connects right to our main house over there. We would have another bench right here. And we filled out this area with some trees as well, where we started from there. A bunch of trees, which serve as a nice background or backdrop to this area. We have a little bit of crafting right here that we can do while outdoors. And some extra storage, of course. A simple table. That's all it is. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Let's go up to the windmill first. So you can see we have our path transitioning to the rural style that I showed you before. And this leads us to the farmland. So look at all this, guys. We have a bunch of wheat fields here. This is the farmland of our town. And as we ease into this rural side of the town, you can see I went with less and less trees. The trees are just scattered throughout because I wanted it to feel nice and open. So walking down, just simply went with our coarse dirt and dirt path and a bunch of weed everywhere. And then this would lead us to our windmill. And we even have a little path that exits out of the rear side of the windmill, which goes to pretty much nothing. But you can expand this. You can even make the farms go a lot wider. Totally up to you. I don't want to go super crazy with it, but I think that's enough. And for some reason, I get really laggy over here. So let's quickly turn away and go to the rest of our town. So going into the last part of our town, we have our main path going along. Still have some piles of storage, some benches. There's another pile of storage there. And this would lead us to the library. So this would go into the library right here. Of course, and then coming around the back side of the library, let's actually go through. There's a back entrance too, right here. We have a little rural style path, which goes to our automatic sugarcane farm. Now, this actually works. You can see it's been harvesting sugarcane this whole time. It's already harvested a good amount. We just went with the simple rural style of path here, since we're kind of closer to the windmill. And I just pretty much built the sugarcane farm first, and then I created a little frame around it and decorated it the same way that I would make a house pretty much, except we just have our glass over here. Now, if you guys haven't checked it out, check out my ultimate house building guide. Probably the best guide on YouTube on how to build a house. Seriously. So let's continue down our path. we go down here, drop down. And don't forget, guys, all of the different varying heights and elevation that we have. I built all of this into the natural land, and that's why there's so much depth in the height of our paths and our builds. Here we have our campsite. So here I went with just 2 little tents, of course. Pretty simple design here with a campfire, 2 little seats, and I went with another style of like a gypsy cart. I don't know if I like it all that much, but I tried my best to make it look good. This guy can sell us some potions or whatever he wants. And that leads to a bridge. And let's just say this bridge, it's a nice pretty bridge. This will lead us out into the wilderness or into another town even. And we have our last crafting area right here. This one is a bit larger. I think this one came out pretty nice. So great little area on the outskirts of our town. And this can potentially lead to either more rural fields over there or it's a whole different town, whatever you guys want. I also went with another kind of mini spruce biome right here, kind of behind the campsite. I love adding these almost mini biomes to certain parts of the town. It really gives your area some personality and even some story if you would like to go there as well. Now, coming down here, our last little path, we have our tiny little one that comes down to this small house, of course, right here. You can say this is the Fletcher house. And it also connects down to our other house that we saw here that goes to our mine entrance. So, awesome little back alleyway right here. And then, of course, from these 2 houses to the market, we simply just have a couple of trees. Not even that many, guys. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just 7 trees right there to fill up this empty area. And with that, guys, that's the full tour of our town. I think this came out really nice. I love how this looks, guys. So I will leave the finished version of this town in the description as well, in case you guys want to play on this in survival. You guys can even expand the town if you would like, or you can simply just walk around and observe all of the different builds that I've done. Put a lot of work into this. I don't think I missed anything, guys. I've detailed every little nook and cranny of this place. So I would appreciate it if you guys like the video and subscribe. We're trying to hit the 25K mark. We should be there very soon. And also, guys, I have started my own Discord server. So if you guys would like to join. And with that, guys, that's all I have. Take care. Have a great rest of the day. Peace out.